But we set those up and then we started sending broadcast emails that then gets people into those automations. We generated over $130,000 within the first 30 days. A lead magnet is something that is low ticket. Most of the time it's going to be free, but it solves the problem. So it's giving that value in advance.
With me today, I have AJ Saunders. He's the CEO of Blaze Digital Solutions, and he's with me today to talk about building marketing strategies, how to be profitable year-round in a seasonal business, and the scoring system he uses to identify if a business can double in 90 days. AJ, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. It's Thursday, which means we're almost to Friday, and that means I'm closer to getting out and doing some fishing.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Now, walk me first through your journey. We'll go into the digital marketing and all the stuff we mentioned, but walk me through your journey. How did you start this whole experience that you're on right now? What were the beginnings, and how did you get to where you are today?
Well, it's actually started way back, right? But back in 2008, when I had just gotten married and I was trying to figure out what to do with my life, kind of fell into this online marketing world. And I just kind of was super intrigued by the ability to make money online, work from home, do all that kind of stuff. Because that was, back then that was a big deal. Fast forward to today, I went to school for it. I started learning programming, started getting into more of the IT stuff. But I always kept just getting, I was falling back into the marketing role. And so me being a creative and a little ADD, I decided to just own it. And so I went off on my own in 2020 and been here ever since. So I've worked for a couple different agencies over the years. I've attempted to start a couple different businesses as well, so this isn't my first rodeo as far as businesses go, and it's been interesting. Yeah, it's been very interesting.
I'm gonna say about the last piece. It's not an uncommon thing. I had two agencies before this. I couldn't scale them. That was my roadblock. I found a way to be very good at it, but there was always a very clear ceiling. What was different? What did you learn from your first attempts at this to what made it work that you're doing right now?
There's a lot of things, because there was a lot of things I just didn't know. You know what I mean? I think that the biggest thing was being very clear on who I was targeting. Because if I was very clear on that, I could clearly understand the problems that those people were having, and for me to be able to deliver a solution for that. And so I think that was one of the key things that a lot of people overlook. A lot of people just make a product thinking they're maybe solving a problem for themselves, but it may not be something for the masses, right? Or for anybody else. And so a lot of businesses, especially in the outdoor industry, that's where I have a ton of experience. People make products because they're an engineer, or they just want to scratch their own itch, which is a cool thing. No, don't get me wrong. That is one of the ways that people make a ton of money, but they overlook some of the fundamental stuff. And I've done that numerous times over the years of really just identifying kind of where their pain point is, where is the place that I can go in and provide an actual solution.
It feels like it's the clarity on the targeting. You are very clear on who your target audience is and really what their pain points are, instead of creating a solution for yourself. And that was the difference between everything you tried in the past that didn't really work, and this one was like, aha, now it's clicking.
Yep.
Got it. And
100%.
When you were going through that cycle of understanding where you want to be today and kind of discovering pieces as you were going along, was it hard to let go, or you were like, I can see this is not working, I have to change? Were you still trying to make it happen, even though you're seeing it's very painful and I'm struggling to make this business successful?
Yeah, some of the businesses in the past, I mean, I just kind of got to the point where I was just done with it. And so it's kind of interesting because I when I originally started, I started learning like SEO and PPC and some of that stuff back in the day, which then led me to kind of start a business. And I got kind of burnt out after a while, and so I would always stop that and then go work for somebody to learn and to really dive in. So I worked for an agency for almost 5 years, 5, 6 years, something like that. And I was really able to like dive into other people's businesses to see exactly what they were doing, how they were being successful, how they were managing, inventory or the personnel, all that kind of stuff. I learned way more about like profitability and just ensuring that that stuff's in place in order to be sustainable over time. So that's, building that stuff into everything from the start is a very important piece as well.
It's like it was it was adding to it. You were very good at SEO and PPC, but you're like, I'm burning on it. It's not going well. Especially SEO, a huge bad rep for SEO over the past, I would say, decade. Like, it was just steep decline. I was just like, no one likes SEO for some reason, but I think it's essential. I really do believe SEO is essential. Like, it's not a should I do it? It's like, how good are you at doing it? It's not a matter of should I. But it definitely has a really, really bad rep. And PPC and SMMA got very popular for a period of time. Everybody was running Facebook ads because they were that good. You just click, run it, and it was producing results, but diminishing results. Returns definitely have been happening for the last like 6-7 years. But it feels like you were doing that, and then you identify like this is not going well. You move to work with some agency to learn, and through that journey of multiple clients and experiences and exposure to a wider range of services and clients, that got you to I know what I'm good at now. Learn some new stuff, and then Blaze Digital Solutions is kind of where you are today. With the stuff that you have today going on, what are the key focuses?
I mean, some of the key focuses for me is kind of expanding and growing. So I've evolved immensely from learning SEO and PPC and being the ads guy, being a web developer, being like all these tacticians, to being like the strategist and overseeing all of it. This is where becoming the fractional CMO or like the true executive, marketing executive for any company out there has really been like my focus on that. Understanding all the components is really important with that, right? Because that's how you can develop a very cohesive strategy that's going to, interweave with other things throughout the business. And one thing too that people don't quite understand, and I don't know why, is they think that marketing is all about sales. And I know it contributes to sales, but marketing actually happens throughout the entire customer journey. Even after they become a customer, you're still marketing to them, you're still communicating. And so that's one of the biggest things is I'm leaning into like truly mastering is the communication, going from awareness all the way through to being a customer and expanding that customer into becoming, what they call like a raving fan. And it's a lot easier said than done, which is why, CMOs and all those people are very expensive because they can make some stuff happen, but it's not easy work.
Now, I like your approach, and the two things you mentioned here that you said, I was a tactician and now I'm the strategist. And I think a lot of people rely on finding some tactics. Do you see that people are using old tactics in 2025 that are not working, but they're coming to like, this is what we're doing right now. I don't know why it doesn't work.
Yeah, all the time. All the time. Absolutely. Even like some of the old school stuff. Starting to work with some of the local businesses and things, and they're like, yeah, I was in this magazine. And I'm like, cool. how's that working out for you? What was in the magazine? What was the ad? Like, what was the offer? You start asking some of these questions, and they're like, oh, I just had my phone number there, call me, with my logo and phone number. And there was no real thought behind that. And I'm not saying magazines can't be like effective. They have their place. But oftentimes people choose the magazine, and it's the wrong choice for that particular time frame. Especially when you're going and being a startup and you're trying to generate sales and revenue quickly, a magazine is not going to do that. Like most people that deliver a magazine, I know from where I'm at, most of those magazines end up in the trash. Or a fire starter, or like, you know what I mean? It's like being in the phone book. Like in my local area, the phone book still exists, and they're still selling people to be in the phone book, which is wild to me. I know that's like super old school, but even going into like some of the digital ad stuff, I mean, you mentioned like Facebook ads. Shoot, man, like I remember back in 2016, 2017, like Facebook ads was so easy. And the level of targeting that you could have on people, I mean, you just launch an ad and it would just generate crazy return. A lot of those things, people don't understand how the algorithm changes, how AI is playing into it. And so they lean into some of those older strategies without leaning into the newer technology. And my team's even been at fault for some of that over the years, just because you get into like a routine of like, this is how we do it. And if you don't evolve with the times, you're going to be left behind, like in a big way.
And we're talking about involving with the times. We're talking about stuff that is working right now for you and for your clients, and the things that are just not tactics. Like you said, they're more of a strategy as opposed to quick and dirty or something like that. When we're looking at some of these strategies that we have that are being implemented, or the ones that you're using for your clients right now, what are some of the ones that people still miss, like even in the beginning, they still like misimplemented? They might have heard how to do something, but you go in, you start working with someone, you're like, I see the vision, but you have completely implemented in the wrong way, and it's a easy slam dunk strategy that everybody kind of can see. Are there some of them that you still see strategy simple, but people still misimplement them or misuse them?
Yeah, when we're talking about some of the tactics, email marketing. People think email marketing is completely dead, for example, or they just kind of get the emails going and they just don't, they're just kind of flailing around. They get maybe abandoned cart and they just start mass emailing the entire list all the time. They don't understand segmentation. They don't understand like the role within each of that to get, to make sure that your deliverability's up, all that kind of stuff. But most of the time, and I'm telling you, like there was a client that we were working with last year that they had a list, they had an email list of 20,000, and they were not emailing their list at all. And it's like, wow, you had, a Klaviyo account, you have 20,000 people on that list. And I couldn't say they weren't emailing. They were sending like an email a month, right? Every month or two, they would send an email out because they don't want to like overdo it with their list.
I've heard that one. Yeah.
So we get in there and we start like doing our things. We set up, the main automations, when I say automations, AKA flows, AKA, whatever other verbiage that people want to use for that. But we set those up and then we started sending broadcast emails that then gets people into those automations. We generated over $130,000 within the first 30 days for that business, which was phenomenal. And email marketing is an SMS marketing. I'm starting to learn a lot of the cool new capabilities with AI and SMS, and the ability to integrate both, way more integrated with SMS and email marketing, which is going to change the game. But people don't understand kind of where email marketing kind of falls within like the customer journey. I would say that is probably the number one thing that I always find. Doesn't matter what business, it doesn't matter how much revenue. I've seen businesses that were generating, close to $10 million and they never did email marketing. And I'm like, wow, like, am I going to change your world like right now? I'm about to like make you another $1 million this year just through email marketing, with that kind of, the size of the list and like all that kind of stuff. But it's, people just overlook it, or they think it's like an ethical issue. That's one other thing that I find, that people don't necessarily implement the marketing that they should because they feel it's not ethical. Which I can see some hesitation and stuff around that. I actually had a client, he saw the strategy and he saw the things that we were going to do for me. He's like, hey, I see that you're going to be doing a lot of email marketing. I personally can't do that, and so I'm going to go with somebody else because you're going to do email marketing. And that was an eye-opener for me. I'm like, wow, like that's very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. But email marketing, within the strategy, people fail and fall all over the place. They don't understand it completely, and they just don't ever implement it fully, or they don't implement it at all.
It's a great one you started with, because I think when it comes to email marketing, I this is just my feeling around it. I think is the latter that you mentioned, is the unethical. It feels unethical. I get those emails all the time. I get that because the stuff that I do with LinkedIn outreach, so like I get those messages all the time. Like, yeah, because they were wrong targeting. But they were reaching out with something that is completely irrelevant to what you want to do. And it's the same thing. That's why you have a spam button for emails. You have a spam for LinkedIn outreach as well, because someone needs to do their targeting pretty darn good in order for this whole thing to work. And with email marketing, it's, they've heard of it. They've opened like a Klaviyo, or they open like a MailChimp, and just blanket outreach within, I don't know, a month, the domain is blocked. And they use the main domain. So now their clients' emails are going. It is a big, it's a common strategy people hear about, but no one implements it properly, like what you said. And I think the unethical part, it's also the feeling they have from what they see, also like bad implementation, then they have like a really negative experience with it. Now, one of the stuff that you were mentioning is building marketing strategies. Let's say you're talking with someone, they're listening to stuff that you're saying, you're like, yes, I can understand, I identify, I've made mistakes in my strategies, implementing them here, or I'm running outdated stuff and it's not working anymore. What are the first marketing strategies that you're building when you're starting to work with your clients?
It depends on the client for sure, and what their goals are, and all that kind of stuff, and like what they're selling. The first thing I want to look at is we want to get a clear picture of like everything they are doing, because if there are things that are working, we don't really want to change that. This is kind of where the assessment comes in, because it's going to help lay out exactly kind of what they're doing good, what they're doing bad, and where they kind of fall within the whole marketing spectrum as a whole. But that's going to be the first thing we're going to want to look at. Then we're going to be diving in to say, okay, what is your offer? Who exactly is your ideal customer? And within those, once we have dialed those in of like who they're targeting, what they're offering, what do we need to say to them? What are they currently saying to them with their core messaging and stuff within their marketing? Is that messaging cohesive across the board? A lot of times people will be saying something on social media and then something completely different on their website, or through their email marketing, or through their ads, for example. So a lot of times like their branding, their messaging is not cohesive at all. So whenever people do that, it causes confusion, which if people are confused people always say no. And so those are the things that we kind of start with. is going to be looking at everything and then looking exactly like what they're offering, and is that in line with everything that they're kind of doing. And then we start building out the strategy and building out like, okay, for email marketing, you know, if we're going to be offering this is going to be our lead magnet. I still call it a lead magnet, right? Lead generation, you know, to get people in the door and try to convert them as quickly as possible, which then leads to the next product or the next experience, and all that kind of stuff there. Sometimes those strategies include some very traditional lead magnets, like, hey, download this PDF. You know, those things still do work. They still can be very, very effective. But not all businesses require them. You know what I mean? So we got to make sure that what we're offering, it's in alignment with that individual's needs or the customer's needs. And if it's truly solving a problem, if we're scratching that itch properly and we're communicating that, we're going to start seeing sales come through.
I see. When you're mentioning the lead magnet, I want to touch on that one, because I think people, I think they give what they value the most as opposed to what the prospects or even a cold lead might value the most. Can you walk us through an anatomy of like a good lead magnet? What is a good lead magnet?
Something that solves a problem quickly, which could just be as simple as a discount, right? It could be as simple as here's 15% off, right? But it's really all about solving problems, right? So for, I don't know, I'm trying to think of some more service-based stuff. But like it's something I did with Scree. You know, we had it was like a PDF that was titled "How to Kill a Monster Bug." People want to read that because they want to kill a monster bug, right? It kind of helps to solve that particular problem. What does Scree do? They sell hunting camo. So it is perfectly in alignment with what they offer and leads them perfectly to want to make a purchase, as an example. So I'd say a lead magnet is something that is low ticket or free. Most of the time it's going to be free, but it solves the problem. So it's giving that value in advance is kind of the best way to put it.
Right. It solves it quickly, easily. There's not a lot of thinking, like you said, confused people say no. And it's a low ticket or free, so that it makes a lot of sense. Because, like you said, someone that is looking to go hunting for bugs, some monster bug, they will need the camo. This is a camo, a company. It is in alignment. You know, read how you can use the camo while you are outdoors. Now, when you're doing some of the more rational, I would say email marketing is like the most logical thing to do. Sometimes people probably throw in some crazy stuff at you, like I need to run some TikTok ads. I need to do, I don't know, Snapchat if someone does it. How do you guide a business to be like, look, this is the right one, and I hear what you're saying, but this is the right one, and this is just maybe a trend that is not the right one for your business?
So it's truly understanding who the customer is. I think that's where you have to say, because then you can say, where do those people hang out? What's, you know, the age group? What, you know, if it's a B2B versus a direct to consumer type situation. I had a potential client, kind of, we're actually working through some of the contracts right now with. He provides he's like a consultant for plants and things like that. So he'll go and consult with people about what kind of plants will work in their yard and all that kind of stuff. Some people were like, oh, you should run Facebook ads for this. You should be doing this. And although some of their people may be on Facebook, the companies that are going to hire him to be a consultant to ensure that the plants that they're selling or whatever are going to be good for a certain area is not going to be really, when they're scrolling on Facebook, it's not going to, that's not the audience, right? To where, and it's not the place, you know, there's a time and a place for each platform. especially like TikTok, for example. But for him, the suggestion was like, no, like you need to do maybe some LinkedIn stuff, and let's get you on stages. Like, let's get you in front of people or decision makers that are at these conferences ready to learn about this particular kind of service, because he's not like a landscaper. He's not like like your traditional service provider on that front. It's very niche. And so we have to like think about, well, he's got a book, he's got like 20 plus years experience with like, high level education and, all this other stuff through research. And I think he even has like a PhD and stuff. So it's like, you need to be using that to your strength and getting in front of people that actually care about that stuff. But that's really like, some of the ideas that we kind of brought to the table on that. So it's really just bring it full circle. It's all about who you're targeting and what you're offering too, I would say. But where those people are hanging out and where are they going to be in the best position to want to listen to what you have to say. Right.
Because you're saying this person, it might be good to run Facebook ads, but they will just not be in the right state of mind to get someone that is a consultant for plans and for all these things. It might be a cool place to watch a very cool video about it, but not a place where you make a business decision to buy. And the stages, that was the creative stuff that is like, okay, LinkedIn is there, but like, let's go on stages, maybe talk with associations. So who knows? It maybe kind of goes from there. Now, that's more the service side, but you also work with people that are in the e-com space and they're seasonal businesses as well. What are some of the strategies that when it comes to e-com? Because I do hear a lot of CRO. Everybody talks about, if you talk about Shopify, everybody talks about CRO. What are the strategies? How effective and how to do the proper strategies when it comes to e-com to increase their sales or whatever the outcome might be?
With e-commerce, obviously your email list and all that stuff is very, very important on that, but understanding the sales cycle. So when it comes to like seasonal businesses, whether if you're in fishing, maybe you sell some stuff for like backpacking, or you're in the hunting space, there's a sales cycle, right? You're going to have your season and then you're going to have your off season. And within that, there's a big rise and then there's a big dip. So understanding that can help you kind of do the things throughout the year that's going to help you ramp into that busy season. So that's one thing that we try to do is a mindset shift around that whole aspect, because there's a lot of content and there's a lot of things that we need in season that we can't necessarily get in season and still use it. You know what I mean? And so, but when it comes to e-commerce, understanding again, like who you're targeting, the sales cycle on that, I have a whole framework called the anti-seasonal framework, where we can kind of start doing things like giveaways, and we can start to, I had a client last year, he was like, he sells turkey calls, and he's like, selling, had his biggest August ever, and people don't buy turkey calls in August. They just don't. But people were buying, at least that was the thought, right? But people were buying that because of the content that we're producing and the things that we're doing to educate people along the way to be able to make a buying decision within the off season. I'm just losing my train of thought here, but I would say those things are going to be like very important. It's going to be, again, easy to get people on an email list. And the key with getting people on your email list is to get them to convert as fast as possible. So one thing we like to do in the off season for clients is to do giveaways. And we like to do collaborative giveaways with different brands. The reason that's cool is because we can really get a huge reach. If you have 5 brands that's all willing to go in on promoting the giveaway, being involved in creating content on social media, sending stuff to their email list, all that kind of stuff. Every brand is going to be able to tap into the customer base for all those brands, but then they're going to tap into everybody who's following them and who's interested in all those other products. So we like to build those giveaways to be complementary products, really to like build like awesome packages. So in the hunting space, and I talk a lot about hunting, fishing stuff. That's where I have a lot of experience. But within that, we'd have like, we'd give away a phone scope package, which helps, you can, I don't know if you know what a phone scope is or not, but it's like a digiscoping tool that you can attach to like a spotting scope for your phone. But like you can match that with like a jumping jack trailer and then an elk hunt. And then you give away a rifle and you give away a camo set. So you're getting like a full package. So if you win that thing, it's like, wow, I'm going to get everything I need to like go on this hunting trip. Like everything new. It's crazy. So that's what we really like to do. We're very good at. The cool thing with it though is we can make it purchase intent to where a lot of the people that are going to be entering the giveaway are going to be doing so through a purchase, which is a game changer. And a lot of people still kind of don't understand how some of that works or whatnot, because you got to have like a really awesome prize to be able to make that and work well. We've launched products like that in the off season as well through a giveaway, where we use that as kind of like the precursor to the launch. So people are like, holy crap, this is a cool new product. Yeah, I want to win it. Like this is rad. We collected audiences off of that, because you can still do that. Like you can still build custom audiences and serve ads to those people. Some people think that that's like no longer there, but it is. But we did that and we got like a 2,100% return on our ad spend on that product launch. We like sold out before the product even hit the port, which is pretty cool on that front.
Now, I was going to ask a question too, because I didn't want to move away too much while you're here. You're bringing companies together. Now, when you try to bring these companies together to collaborate on these promotional giveaways, are you bringing your clients together to say, hey guys, this is what Jimmy does, this is what Bob does, I think both of us, we can do something fantastic? Or do you try to reach out to like, you know what, I think if we partner up with this brand on top of, what we have, we reach out to them and hey guys, I have like 5 clients ready to create this thing. If you want to join, this is what you need to do. What is the strategy that you see that has the most success that other businesses might be like, hey, I never thought of that as well?
So we do both. I've used giveaways as like a way to get clients for myself, to where I'll do an outreach and I'll be like, hey, let's do a giveaway, and I'll include some of my clients in the mix of that for sure. But that's really one of the benefits of working with us, because we do love to be very collaborative with all of our clients, and we love to bring our clients together to do stuff. The other cool thing with that is if we're the ones doing all the marketing for everybody, it makes our job a whole lot easier, because we're just coordinating with ourselves, and disseminating and making sure all the clients have the graphics and like all the other stuff, to go with that. But that is like very awesome, because then when it's like show season and some of the clients go to expos and different things like that, they have a relationship with those people. They're able to, to be collaborative even at the expo in and of itself, which is kind of like a really fun thing, to where we're building like a community more than anything with that. But yeah, it's going to be a little bit of both.
Okay. Now, let's say someone is listening to this and they get the wrong idea. They create an illusion in their mind. I heard AJ said I know another guy. I'm going to partner up. I'm going to open a Shopify store tomorrow, and I'm going to spend some money, and I'm going to be a millionaire within a couple of months, maybe, or days. Let's kind of demystify some of the stuff that you're saying here. So, how long does it take for an e-commerce business to be really successful? It doesn't need to be attached to a digit or a number, but like this business is a proper business now. It's not just a man in a van kind of type of e-commerce shop.
Yeah. So it's kind of funny you say that. The idea of, and a lot of people sell this idea, right? Get on, open an Amazon store, start selling stuff on Amazon, open up a Shopify store, and you're going to be a millionaire overnight. It's such a lie. Like, people are not being honest with you. I have had a business and I've helped launch a business where our first month we did like $50,000. And then our second month we did like 10. And then, it was very, very variable on that. Like, some months we like barely, crushed $1,000 in revenue. And this is like revenue, right? There's a huge difference where people don't understand. I think there's a huge thing where they're like, oh, if I can make $1 million in revenue, I've even fallen for this. If I can make $1 million in revenue, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be able to like do all these cool things. And it's like, no, because that's revenue that you have to accrue all of your costs that go into it. You have ordering. Like, when people build a Shopify store, they don't understand, like, and they soon do understand after. But when they get their first maybe shipment of product or whatever, understanding the flow of like reordering product to get it back into stock, and how that cycle kind of goes, but the expenses that go with that, because you have your minimum order quantities. And so the amount of investment that's involved in that, most Shopify stores don't really make it to be super profitable, I'd say, for the first few years. And so understanding that you're not going to really make any money whatsoever for 3 to 5, 6 years sometimes. And sometimes you don't really make any money. You just end up making enough to be able to sell it to another company that can then make it profitable. And so, like, understanding that game, and the amount of investment that's required because of the competition that's out there. Everybody, it's so easy to just start a Shopify store. Anybody can just start a Shopify store, right? People that really make it, and when they make it, I'm saying, they're able to like do it within like the 3 to 5 years or whatever. I've worked with a company for a long time. It's a hunting camo company. And when I started working with them, they were doing about $100,000 a year ish around that time point. And then we built them to be now valued over $10 million, 8 figures, which is like a big feat. But the amount of investment that was required to make that happen is enormous. So when somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I just got the Shopify store, I'm ready to like sell, I'm ready to do marketing and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, cool. How much money, like, what's your budget? And they're like, I don't know. Like, you tell me what the budget should be. And then I tell them, well, like, my fee for this is going to be $5,000 a month to just manage, build a strategy, do the actual work. But I'm going to need you to spend like $10,000 on top of that for ads. And then there's going to probably be another $1,000 that's going to go into our email marketing system. And then there's going to be another $1,000 or $2,000 on these different apps and like these different things for the Shopify to actually work properly. And they're looking at it like, oh my gosh, like, I've got to spend like $20,000, $30,000 a month, not just on like ads, but like to pay people to actually work this. And it becomes unsustainable very, very quickly for them, which is why a ton of people just flop with their store doesn't go anywhere, just because they don't have the funding to truly make it work. I mean, it's a business, and people don't understand the amount of work and investment that's required for that. And so, I think that's kind of one of the biggest fallacies out there, is they think, they're just going to drop ship products, or they're going to buy, they're going to spend their life savings on getting the product developed and made. And then now they have it, now they have to sell it, and they don't have any money to actually push it to sell it. hopefully that answers the question
does.
there. But
it does it, and it does it in a very well way where you're breaking down rough numbers of the investments. I think this is the biggest misguidance. That people talk about this is how much revenue you can make, but not how long it will take you to get there. And they don't mention the monthly investments, because guess what? If let's say you have 100K and month 1, 20 goes away. Month 2, 20 goes away. By month 3, panic, because now you're 60K down, and you have some, and you have a family, or if you're just alone, you need to somehow live. And you're like, man, it's been like, we're just going down month. Can you imagine that feeling for 3 years or 5? Like, this is what I'm hearing, like what you're trying to portray to people. Like, it's not just about like, I will be tough. Cool. But you just see money go away from your bank, and you don't know if this will work, because it might not. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it does. But there is a lot of investment that goes into it, on top of creativity, grit, on top of all these things. But it's just the money side. It's very true. I think the drop shipping really made it sound easy and made it sound very cool. But then you also don't own a lot of the stuff. You don't have any IPs. You don't have. You're basically waiting on someone across the world. They might sell your product to someone else and say, hey, this guy's selling it for XYZ profit margins. Why don't you just do it? I'll slap a different name. And they're opening competitions for yourself as well. So it's a profitable. It sounds like what you're saying. It's profitable, but not in the way that you've imagined it, and it probably will take a little bit longer than what you've imagined. Just out of the blue starting, even with the right strategy, knowing all these things, it is a long game that you play. Now, luckily, you've been doing this for a long time, and you do have a scoring system, basically kind of checking if a business can double within 90 days if they have the right things in the right places. Walk us through how did you develop this scoring system? What is the scoring system? How does it work?
Yeah, so it's really like a questionnaire, right? It's going to ask certain questions along the way. And I actually stole this from the guys over at Digital Marketer. I'm a certified partner with Digital Marketer, also a faculty member over there. And so I license a lot of their tools to be able to use because it just makes sense. If it works, right? Just use it. But I have developed a really good relationship. So Ryan actually developed this questionnaire to kind of guide people down the path of okay, this is what it truly looks like to scale a business and to grow a business. Do you have these fundamental things in place? Because if you don't, the likelihood of you growing and scaling to be able to sell the business or whatever is not, it may or may not be in place, right? So he's actually the one that developed this questionnaire that just kind of walks people through these different, aspects. So these different growth pillars on that. The cool thing, it's probably a good thing that didn't come directly from me, because Ryan actually manages a portfolio of over $200 million. A portfolio of companies that's worth about $200 million. So he's done this over and over and over. He's built companies that have far surpassed anything that I've ever done. And so being able to use that is a great tool to identify exactly where you currently stand and where you're going to need to focus your time. That's one thing where people they start to flail around and stuff, and they don't have any kind of priority of order of the things they need to put into place or do in order to kind of hit that next level, or even just to start, right? If you're a startup, go through this so that you can identify all the key documents and all the key things that you need to have in place in order for you to be effective. So if you go to growwithblaze.com, you'll be able to access this this survey, so to speak. But at the end, it's going to give you a really cool score that's going to help to bring clarity on what you need to do and focus on right now, and what can be pushed off. And then if so be it, they want to talk to me, they can just book a call, after that thing, and then we can kind of go over it with them.
And that was going to be my next question. So they go through this process. It identifies what they need to do. They can take it away. They can try to do it on their own, or they can say, great, I can talk to AJ. This is what your tool showed me to do, and then that is kind of like a good starting point to start the conversation as opposed to going from a starting point. Now, someone does this whole thing and they want to get a hold of you. How did they do that, AJ?
So at the end of that survey, they will have the ability to book a call. Or you can just go to my website, blazedigitalsolutions.com, and you can book a call from me right there. Or you can go to my Instagram, go to my Facebook page. Most of all, my social media will be at EJ Saunders Official, and you can find me there. I'd love to have any which way that you want to contact. I have multiple ways.
Awesome, EJ. Thank you so much for the time. This was very interesting, very eye-opening for me as well. Specifically for the email marketing, I think that's something that people know about, heard about it, they've tried it. It's still something they kind of play with it, but having that clear understanding, like where does it fit in your customer journey? What are the things that you're doing right or wrong? I think even for me it was eye-opening, so I appreciate the time, and thank you for sharing all these details for you. And to everyone that is listening, try that. The scoring system, see what you can do if you're on the right path to double in 90 days. If you are, it'll be a fantastic journey for you to work with EJ. So EJ, thank you so much for the time again, and wish you all the best.
Thanks, man. Appreciate being on.